Ever said something you instantly regretted? What if your words could reflect strength, wisdom, and calm, even in life's most heated moments? Stay with me, because what you say might just reveal exactly who you are. Welcome to Stoic Bridge, the bridge between ancient wisdom and modern life, guiding you through life's storms with calm and resilience. We've all had moments when we spoke too soon and wished we could pull the words right back into our mouths. Like arrows fired in haste, they can't be retrieved, only regretted. But what if you could speak with the kind of clarity and presence that leaves a lasting impact? In today's video, we'll explore 6 things intelligent people never say, each one grounded in the powerful teachings of Stoic philosophy. Because to the Stoics, speech isn't just communication. It's a reflection of character, a window into the soul. From avoiding shallow boasting to honoring your promises, from embracing silence to admitting your mistakes, these 6 habits will help you not only communicate with intention, but live with greater clarity, strength, and integrity. You'll learn why silence is often wiser than speaking, how to stop dismissing others and start creating real connection, the dangers of complaining without action and how to turn frustration into power, and why your promises, if left unchecked, could quietly destroy trust. Whether you're leading a team, growing your relationships, or simply aiming to master your inner voice, this episode is for you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who values clarity, presence, and stoic calm. Let's begin this journey into deeper self-mastery, one powerful word at a time. Number 1, avoid boasting about knowledge. Picture this. You walk into a room and before long, someone starts talking confidently, endlessly about their achievements, the books they've devoured, the awards they've collected, and every complex idea they've mastered. At first, it's intriguing. You might even feel a flicker of admiration, but slowly, that admiration gives way to discomfort, like standing under a spotlight that was never meant for you. We've all met someone like that. Maybe at times, we've even been that person. Stoic philosophy teaches us something essential. True wisdom doesn't shout, it speaks quietly through action. As Marcus Aurelius said, nature does not boast about what it creates. The sun doesn't need to announce its light, the ocean doesn't explain its depth, and the wise don't need to prove they are wise. Let me share a story that brought this lesson to life. I once had a friend named John, a brilliant mind in the world of tech. In every meeting, every gathering, John took it upon himself to be the smartest person in the room. He talked about groundbreaking projects, cutting-edge systems, and prestigious accolades. At first, people listened, but over time something shifted. His words began to feel less like contributions and more like performances. Conversations became monologues, and admiration quietly turned into distance. Then one day, a colleague told him, candidly, "Your knowledge is impressive, but the way you present it is driving people away." That moment hit John hard, and for the first time he reflected, was he sharing to uplift others or to feed his ego? That's a powerful question for any of us to ask. Because here's the truth. When we speak only to impress, we lose connection. Our words become barriers instead of bridges. They turn conversations into comparisons and leave others feeling small. But the Stoics offer us a different path. First, let your actions speak. When you truly understand something, it shows in how you work, how you solve problems, and how you carry yourself. Second, embrace humility. Humility doesn't mean hiding what you know. It means letting others uncover your depth through genuine interaction, not forced display. And finally, listen. Listening is not a passive act. It's an expression of wisdom, a quiet strength. The Stoics revered silence not as a void, but as a space for growth, connection, and deep understanding. John eventually learned this. He began speaking less about himself and more about others. He asked questions. He listened with intent. And slowly, people started to seek him out, not for what he knew, but for the presence he brought. His knowledge hadn't changed, but his intentions had, and that changed everything. You see, avoiding boastfulness doesn't mean shrinking. It means rising in a way that brings others with you. It means letting your knowledge serve, not shine. So next time you feel the urge to speak of what you've done or what you know, ask yourself, am I building connection or just building a pedestal? Because in the end, as Stoicism reminds us, your words reveal your character, and choosing humility over pride is the beginning of true strength. Now let's move to the next trait and explore another subtle behavior that reveals profound wisdom. Number 2, never dismiss others' opinions. Imagine walking into a room full of voices, ideas floating like lanterns in the air, each one carrying a small flame of insight. Now picture someone swatting those lanterns down before they have a chance to rise. That's what it feels like when an opinion is dismissed too quickly, without care, without consideration. If you've ever shared a thought only to be cut off or brushed aside, you know how deeply that stings. It's not just about disagreement, it's the feeling of being unseen, unheard, and unvalued. The worst part? That experience can quietly start to erode your own confidence, making you question whether your voice matters at all. I say this with humility, because I've been on the other side of that experience too. I wasn't just the one being dismissed, I was the one doing the dismissing. Early on in a leadership role, I prided myself on quick thinking and sharp judgment. During one particular meeting, a colleague proposed an idea to improve our workflow. Without letting them finish, I cut in, labeled the idea unworkable, and moved on. I believed I was saving time, keeping things efficient. Something felt off. The room fell quiet. People exchanged uneasy glances. The energy shifted, and no one offered another idea. Later that day, a trusted teammate pulled me aside and said gently, "You know, that idea wasn't as bad as it first sounded. Maybe you should have heard it through." That moment hit me like a thunderclap. I hadn't just overlooked a potentially good idea. I had unintentionally sent a message that other voices didn't matter. I'd stifled creativity, and worse, I'd made others feel like their thoughts weren't worth sharing. Stoic philosophy reminds us that wisdom doesn't come from certainty, but from curiosity. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You cannot learn what you think you already know." When we shut down others too quickly, we don't just close the door on innovation, we also weaken connection, erode trust, and undermine our own growth. From that day forward, I made a conscious change. In every meeting, I reminded myself, listening doesn't mean agreeing, it means valuing. You can honor someone's perspective without endorsing it. That space alone creates room for insight to grow. To my surprise, the shift was immediate. People spoke up more. Ideas became richer. Even those who were once quiet began to engage, because they sensed a genuine invitation to be heard. Here's a subtle shift in mindset that helped me. Instead of thinking, how can I counter this idea? I started asking, what can I learn from this? Even a flawed idea might carry the seed of a breakthrough, or at the very least, show you how someone else views the challenge. And here's the deeper truth. Humility is at the heart of wisdom. Stoicism teaches that none of us is the sole holder of truth. Dismissing someone's opinion even casually is like saying your viewpoint is the only one that matters. But in reality, no single person can see the whole picture. True understanding comes from collective thought, shared perspectives, and the courage to remain open, even when we believe we already have the answer. As I changed my approach, something beautiful happened. Meetings no longer felt like tasks. They became conversations. I started asking more questions. I invited quieter voices into the spotlight, and slowly the entire dynamic shifted. Our ideas improved, our connection deepened, and respect flowed in every direction. That experience taught me something priceless. Everyone carries a piece of the puzzle, and sometimes the quietest voice holds the most important piece. So the next time you hear an opinion that seems off or unpolished, pause, listen, reflect. Because refusing to dismiss others isn't just about being kind, it's about being wise. And with that wisdom, we open the door to better collaboration, richer insight, and a deeper understanding of the world around us. Now let's move on to the next habit, one that challenges how we deal with negativity and how to transform it into personal power. Number 3, refrain from complaining without purpose. Picture a dripping faucet, small, steady drops falling day after day. At first, you hardly notice it, but over time, the sound becomes a quiet irritation, a drain on your peace. That's how constant complaining feels to the people around us and to ourselves. Let's talk about Peter. Peter is a seasoned professional. He's got years of experience, a demanding job, and a family to care for. Life pulls him in many directions. Deadlines, responsibilities, daily stressors, and like many of us, he faces frustrations both big and small. But instead of handling these challenges with intention, Peter slips into a pattern that many fall into. He complains. He complains about his coworkers' inefficiencies, about how the office printer always jams, about the coffee machine that never works. His grievances are endless. At first, people empathize. A few even offer solutions. But eventually, as the weeks drag on, Peter's words start to feel heavy. Interactions with him grow tense. Conversations lose their spark. Colleagues begin to steer clear, not out of unkindness, but because they simply can't absorb that level of negativity every day. Then, during a casual lunch break, something shifts. A friend looks Peter in the eye and says, "Peter, I hear your frustration, but what are you doing to change it?" That question hits hard, and in that moment of silence, Peter realizes a painful truth. He's not looking for solutions, he's just venting without direction, without purpose. And in doing so, he's reinforcing a belief that he's powerless. His complaints aren't helping, they're trapping him. This is more common than we'd like to admit. It's easy to unload our stress by complaining. It feels like a release. But if left unchecked, it becomes a cycle, one that not only exhausts others, but robs us of energy, clarity, and influence. That's where Stoic wisdom offers a lifeline. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, we may not control the chaos around us, but we do control how we respond to it. Complaining about things beyond our control doesn't fix the problem. It only deepens the feeling of helplessness. But when complaints are guided by intention, they can become powerful fuel for change. The key lies in this question: what can I do about it? If there's something you can do, take action. If not, let it go. Redirect your energy. Read, reflect, write, practice gratitude, engage in something that strengthens rather than drains. Another helpful shift? Reframe your mindset. Instead of thinking, "Why does this always happen to me?" try asking, "What can I learn from this?" Stoicism teaches that even adversity holds hidden lessons if we're willing to look deeper. Complaining blinds us to those lessons, but reflection, that opens the door to wisdom. Peter eventually embraced that lesson. He stopped complaining about his manager and started drafting thoughtful proposals. He stopped grumbling about traffic and began listening to audiobooks or practicing mindfulness behind the wheel. And slowly, the fog lifted. His words began to carry a new kind of energy, one rooted in clarity, not complaint. His relationships at work improved. People sought his input, not because he had stopped feeling frustrated, but because he had learned how to channel it constructively. That's the true power of restraint. Refraining from aimless complaints isn't about suppressing your voice. It's about choosing when and how to use it wisely. Because as the Stoics remind us, our words and thoughts are tools. And when used with intention, they can shape a life that is calm, resilient, and deeply connected. And so the next time frustration bubbles up, take a breath and choose to build rather than break. Let's now move to the next trait, one that explores a subtle behavior we often overlook, the hidden cost of making promises we don't keep. Number 4, no empty promises. A promise is like a bridge built from words held up by trust. Crossed too many times without care, it begins to crack, and one day it may no longer hold the weight of belief. We all make promises to our colleagues, our friends, our families, and sometimes even to ourselves, but how often do we pause to ask, can I truly deliver what I've just pledged? Not out of bad intent, but out of habit. We sometimes say yes when we should say maybe or no. Let me introduce you to Greg. Greg was a kind-hearted, well-meaning man in his 50s, a dedicated professional with a demanding career and a devoted father trying to balance it all. Like many, Greg wore multiple hats and juggled them with the best intentions. But Greg had a pattern. He'd promise his team, I'll review those reports by Monday. He'd reassure his family, I'll be home in time for dinner tonight. He meant every word, but more often than not, the reports stayed unread. Dinner grew cold, and excuses, though gentle, grew familiar. At first, people forgave him. After all, who doesn't struggle with time? But as time passed, something shifted. His team became hesitant to rely on him. His family started meeting his promises with quiet skepticism. The words he once spoke with warmth now felt hollow. Then one night, after missing another important family moment, Greg came home to find a handwritten note from his teenage daughter on his desk. Just 8 simple words, we just want you to mean it when you say it. That message stopped him cold. In that quiet moment, Greg saw what his busyness had blurred. His promises, though made in love, were slowly chipping away at the very trust he wanted to protect. This is the Stoic lesson at the heart of his story. Speak with intention. Act with integrity. As Marcus Aurelius put it, let your words be plain and true. You see, a promise isn't just a placeholder for good intentions. It's a commitment, a thread that connects our character to our conduct. And when that thread is broken, even unintentionally, it weakens the fabric of trust. So how can we avoid the trap of overpromising? First, pause before you commit. Ask yourself, do I really have the time, energy, and resources to follow through? If the answer isn't clear, don't rush. It's better to give a cautious maybe than a careless yes. Try saying, I'll aim for tomorrow, but I'll keep you posted if anything changes. This sets realistic expectations and shows maturity. Second, adopt the mindset of under-promising and over-delivering. Instead of saying, I'll get this done tonight, say, give me 3 days, then deliver in 2. That simple shift builds credibility and surprise appreciation rather than disappointment. And third, embrace accountability. If you do slip, and we all do, own it. Acknowledge it, apologize sincerely, and offer a clear next step. It's not about being flawless, it's about being responsible. Greg took these lessons to heart. He began saying no when necessary and only committing when he could truly deliver. Over time, his words regained their meaning. His team trusted his deadlines again. His family looked forward to his presence, not just his promises. And most importantly, something shifted within Greg. He began to speak more carefully and live more confidently. Because when your words carry weight, you walk through life grounded in something deeper: integrity. In the end, avoiding empty promises isn't about aiming for perfection. It's about striving to be dependable. And that consistency between word and deed is what Stoicism calls real strength. Because in life, we're not measured by the promises we make. We're remembered by the ones we keep. And now, let's explore the next trait, one that reveals the true power hidden in our willingness to admit when we're wrong. Number 5, don't deny your mistakes. There's a moment we all dread, a quiet tightening in your chest when you realize you've made a mistake. It's like dropping a fragile glass and watching it shatter in front of everyone. That fear of being judged, of being seen as weak or incapable, often makes us want to cover it up, explain it away, or pretend it didn't happen. I used to feel exactly that way. I believed that admitting a mistake was like opening the door to criticism, exposing a crack in the armor I worked so hard to build. But then came an experience that completely reshaped how I saw that fear. It was during a high-stakes project at work. The pressure was on, deadlines loomed, and in my haste, I overlooked several key details in a report. The consequences were immediate. Senior management spotted the errors, and my entire team bore the weight of that oversight. My first instinct? Deflect. Blame the timeline. Blame the workload. Blame anything but myself. But deep down, I knew better. I realized that avoiding responsibility would only weaken the trust I had carefully built with my team. So instead, I made a decision to step up and own what was mine. At our next meeting, I spoke openly. I admitted the mistake, I apologized sincerely, and I laid out specific steps to make sure it wouldn't happen again. What happened next surprised me. Instead of disappointment, I saw respect. My team didn't judge me. They appreciated my honesty. A few even thanked me for modeling the very accountability we often talk about but rarely witness. That moment taught me something powerful. Admitting your mistakes doesn't make you smaller. It makes you stronger. It shows you value truth over ego, growth over pride. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If someone is able to prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I will gladly change. For it is the truth I seek, and the truth never harmed anyone." When we accept our flaws, we take the first step toward becoming better, not just for ourselves, but for those around us. It creates an atmosphere where growth is welcomed and humility is respected. And in that space, others feel safe to do the same. But let's be honest, owning up isn't always easy. We fear looking weak, being judged, or losing credibility. But ask yourself this: when someone denies a clear mistake, do they appear stronger or less trustworthy? The truth is, denial doesn't shield your reputation. It corrodes it. But the courage to acknowledge your missteps, that's what builds unshakable respect. So how do we live this out? First, cultivate self-awareness. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to shift blame. Pause, reflect, and ask, what was my role in this? Even a small part, when owned, can transform the outcome. Second, focus not just on the apology, but on the repair. Demonstrate through your actions that you're committed to improvement. That's where true credibility comes from. Stoic philosophy reminds us that mistakes are not failures, they're feedback. They're opportunities wrapped in discomfort. And those who embrace them become not only wiser, but more human. When you lead with honesty, you lay down a foundation of trust. People respect those who face the truth, especially when it's hard. Because strength isn't about being flawless. It's about being fearless in your pursuit of growth. So next time you falter, don't flinch. Don't deflect. Pause. Take ownership. And let your response be a reflection of who you truly are becoming. Because the real strength isn't in avoiding mistakes, it's in rising with grace after you've made one. Now let's move forward to the final habit, one that challenges how we talk about our future and why restraint can be more powerful than revelation. Number 6, don't overshare future plans. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to say yes when you're caught in a moment of enthusiasm or pressure? Like tossing a pebble into calm water, the impact seems small, but the ripples can reach farther than we expect. And when our words outpace our intentions, even the smallest commitments can come back to test our integrity. That's the lesson the Stoics have long emphasized. A promise is not just a word, it's a reflection of your character. And keeping it isn't merely about following through. It's about protecting the trust others place in you and honoring the trust you place in yourself. Let me introduce you to Jim. Jim was a warm-hearted, well-liked man in his midlife, known for his eagerness to help. Whether it was lending a hand to a friend, taking on another task at work, or RSVPing to every community gathering, his default answer was always the same: "Sure, count me in." On the surface, Jim seemed incredibly dependable, willing, generous, involved. But as his schedule filled and responsibilities multiplied, the cracks began to show. He forgot commitments. He double-booked. He failed to show up, not out of carelessness, but because he had unknowingly overextended himself. Then came a turning point. A close friend invited Jim to a family dinner, an occasion that meant a lot. Jim agreed, as usual, with warmth and sincerity. But later, he forgot. A work meeting was scheduled over it. The next day, his friend expressed their disappointment, not with anger, but with quiet hurt. That moment hit Jim hard. He realized something painful. His words, meant to please, had started to disappoint. His intentions were good, but without follow-through, his promises had become noise, and they were eroding the very relationships he valued most. This is a trap many of us fall into. We say yes because we don't want to seem selfish, unavailable, or dismissive. But as the Stoics teach us, words should never be used to escape discomfort. They should serve truth. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Saying yes when you're unsure is often driven by fear of letting others down, fear of appearing unkind. But ironically, it's the broken commitment that causes deeper disappointment than a thoughtful, honest no. So how do we avoid making hollow promises? Start with a pause. Before you agree to anything, take a breath. Ask yourself, does this align with my priorities? Do I genuinely have the capacity to honor this promise? If not, choose honesty over comfort. A respectful, "I'd love to, but I won't be able to commit right now," carries far more integrity than a rushed yes that leads to regret. Next, favor depth over breadth. It's better to say yes to fewer things and fulfill them with excellence than to stretch yourself so thin that your reliability fades. When you commit, do it with care, focus, and follow through. And finally, know this. Saying no is not a sign of selfishness. It's a sign of clarity. The Stoics taught that we must focus on what's within our control, and spreading ourselves too thin takes us away from what truly matters and from the people who depend on us most. Jim took his wake-up call to heart. He stopped saying yes to everything. He learned to weigh each request before responding, and slowly the quality of his commitments deepened. People no longer valued him for always being available. They respected him for being dependable. That's the shift. It's not about how many promises you make. It's about the ones you keep. When your words align with your values, you create a life of strength, not stress. A life where others know they can trust you, and where you trust yourself to follow through. The Stoics remind us that every word we speak carves out a piece of our identity. So the next time someone asks you for a commitment, pause, reflect, and make sure your answer is one you can live out with honor. Because that's not just wise, that's strength. We've just explored 6 powerful habits, 6 things that intelligent people avoid saying, all rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. From holding back boastful words and embracing the strength of silence, to listening with humility, resisting empty complaints, owning up to mistakes, and honoring the commitments we make. Each lesson offers more than just a guide for how to speak. It reveals how to live with intention, clarity, and depth. These aren't just techniques for better conversation. They are tools for building character, reflections of who we are when no one is watching, and especially when everyone is. If today's message spoke to you, if even one insight made you pause, reflect, or feel seen, I'd truly love to hear about your own journey. Maybe you've caught yourself in one of these habits before, or perhaps you've already begun shifting toward a quieter, stronger way of being. Share your story in the comments, whether it's a recent win, a personal challenge, or a hard-earned lesson that changed you. And if you're not quite sure what to write, just type, "I love this," to let me know you've walked this path with me today. Your voice helps this space grow into something meaningful, a community grounded in reflection, resilience, and the quiet power of inner growth. If you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who might need it. You never know how far one seed of wisdom can spread. And before you go, I've left 2 more videos here just for you to continue your journey toward a stronger, calmer, more intentional self. Thanks for being here. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next video.